Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Crack the Egg podcast. I'm Adriana,
And I'm Jess.
and in this podcast, we're talking about our crochet small businesses and hoping that we can keep you guys motivated as we try to keep ourselves motivated through what is becoming a very, very busy season of fall and then holiday markets. I don't know about Jess, but I'm already feeling some of that pressure start to build a little bit, knowing that we are more than halfway through August. And for me, especially, tomorrow is the first day of school when we're recording this. So I have tons of anxiety about that. But knowing that all of this free time that I've been enjoying to be able to dedicate to market prepping and prepping for the store is now going by the wayside. And I'm really going to have to push myself a lot harder when I get home from school to keep that momentum. Jess, how are you feeling through this changing season for markets?
That's a good question. Like my market schedule is pretty much the same as it's been for the last couple months. I've had at least one show a month. Um, this month I actually have two big ones kind of back to back. I only had a weekend off in between. And then it's just one a month. Yeah, that's right. One a month for the rest of the year. So I mean, I kind of feel okay about it. However, like my November and December shows, I know I want the more winter accessories, especially like Santa and elf hats that were really popular last year. And I'm just trying to figure out when I'm going to have time to build that stock. Um, because like my work is getting busy in the next 2 weeks. I'll be going to Seattle for a conference, for a whole week right before my next show. Like I come back, have a day off, and then it's the show. So like, I'm trying to figure out what I can manage to bring with me to Seattle to work on. Um, but yeah, that's generally where I stand. I guess I'm kind of like mentally preparing for the switch over from focusing on plushies to the winter stuff.
Sure. So we're always crocheting while we're recording, so we are being productive in that way, so that we're using our time wisely. What are you currently working on while we record?
A mini loaf cat.
Beautiful. I need to get more of that orange tweed because I have barely enough to make one big one, and I need to get more of that. And of course, can't find it at Michael's yet.
Yeah, I think I might be able to get this one plus another one out of all I have left. And I think that's the last ball I have.
Mm-hmm.
I have two other tweeds that are for loaf cats,
Mm-hmm.
but I do like this orange one.
Yeah, it's super cute.
What are you working on?
I am making what is my current comfort make. I don't know that I was on this kick the last time that that we recorded. I have been super into these Drift the Octopus from the Crochet Carpenter. I made this one last night because I had a really awful day yesterday, and I said that when I was done with the craziness of prepping for this big market that I had this past weekend, that I would allow myself to go back to making these because there was a period of time where I just literally could not stop making them for a solid couple days. So it's become my new comfort make. I really enjoy it. And so far, they're doing well at the Hive. And I'll talk about how they did in the next episode at my most recent market. Um, but yeah, I love making them. Such an easy pattern. It's so well written.
It's a
And
good pattern.
yeah, you've started making them. Yeah, just yeah, just great. And I don't know why, but I've got like a real chokehold, or this yarn specifically has got me in a real chokehold when it comes to making these. Like I love the way the Bernat Mystical looks in this pattern. And granted, this is the berry color, which is currently dyeing my crochet hook. Interestingly, it's not dyeing this one, which has like the, I don't know if this is actually metal or not, but like it has this part of the hook. Whereas this one, I don't know that you'll be able to see it all that well in the camera, but it started getting dyed last night, and I know that you had this problem when you were using this yarn.
Yep.
So it's not on my hands. It's not on anywhere else. I'm optimistic that when I go to crochet with this hook again, that it's not going to transfer over to whatever yarn I use. I hope.
It's very strange. I don't understand how that's happening because yeah, I've been through that. My hook got dyed and then I've used it for other projects and like the dye wears off, but it doesn't get on your like it doesn't bleed into your project. It's just magically gone. And then I work with that color again and it's re-dyed.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's a beautiful color, but I don't understand why or how it's happening. None of the other Bernat Mystical that I've used has done this, let alone any other yarn that I've ever used. Like, it can't be because it's like a red, because I've used really dark red before. That's not an issue, but I don't know. So, in our most recent episode, you were getting ready to teach your first ever crochet class at a local yarn shop. And so, can you tell us a little bit about, remind us, what was it that you were teaching people? And then, can you tell us about how it went?
Yeah, I did a B class. I was asked to teach like a basic amigurumi pattern. And the Bubble Bee by Katie Dids is a free pattern on her Instagram. So, I mean, and it's an easy market make too. So that's kind of what I put in my little ad for it. Like, if you're interested in vending, like this is a easy, quick market make. And I had four people sign up and it was a lot of fun. I was terrified leading up to it because many people have asked me to teach them, and I always say no because I've tried with some friends and I just don't have the patience like to teach from ground zero. Like I will wring your neck if you can't make a simple chain. I'll be like, "What are you doing?" So like I put a stipulation in the sign up that basic knowledge of a single crochet is helpful. So I had four people and they were great. They all knew the single crochet. Everyone needed a little help with doing a magic circle, but like they all knew it and they've done it. They just needed like a refresher. So once they got that started, it was like easy breezy. And they all came out round. I was so proud.
Did anyone finish the pattern at the class?
Yep, I did.
Oh, well,
'Cause
that makes
I
sense.
was I was working along with them. I had some samples with me, but I used a chenille yarn for those. Because those were ones that I was gonna sell. And then um when the shop asked me like what materials I needed, I said it's a beginner class, like let's just do acrylic yarn. Um so I wanted to be true to form and follow the pattern exactly how it was written. Because when I sell it, I tweak a few things to my liking, but I followed exactly how it was written using the supplies that were provided. And I ended up giving it to the shop. Um, so yeah, but everyone's came out round. One person for sure finished, and I think two others finished the bodies and we're going to do the wings at home. And then one person like was halfway finished the body, but then I ran into them at another yarn shop, like sip and stitch kind of situation. And I like he had questions. I was there, he was there, and he had questions, so I was able to help him out, which ended up being really cool. So yeah.
That's awesome. So are you going to teach more classes now? Is that something you feel like you're interested in doing based on this experience?
I think yes, with this shop. specifically with Snake and Skein because like I don't think it's something I would be interested in like advertising for myself to say, hey, I can offer crochet lessons or like teach a class on something to other shops. I kind of want to stay within Snake and Skein because I love the owners and I don't know, teaching it's not like exciting for me, but we had a good time and I do have two classes already on the books coming up. So I was asked to do the one that's posted right now is a Halloween plushie boot camp or something like that, where another girl is going to be teaching a pumpkin in the morning, and then I'm going to be teaching a ghost in the afternoon. And then I don't know when it's oh my God. I don't know when it's going to become available, but the girl that completely finished her bee is a like an active crocheter. She knows her stuff. We were talking in my class about blankets and how like we love making blankets. I just don't have the time for it anymore. And we decided maybe we'll do a class on a blanket, but do it in a series format. So it's going to be a 9-month class. I know it's a very long time, but it's going to be one class a month, and you don't have to go to all the classes. Like you can choose to either pick one of the classes or however many you want. But if you do all of them, there's a bit of a discount. And at each class, we're going to introduce 3 new patterns of granny squares. And then you're going to go home and make another of each of those patterns. So you'll have 6 total each month, in the end, equaling 48 squares. And then in the 9th month, we'll be joining and bordering them. So that's going to be a trek.
I think it's really cool though, because I see like these crochet along blanket like kits or whatever, and I think it's cool, but like I I get the impression just based on watching people make them that it's kind of hard to stay on track because they don't necessarily have like a group or someone like I guess almost keeping them accountable. And I feel
Yeah.
like in this class, it's a much more, I want to say like encouraging way to keep up with it because like not only do you have a month to get the squares done, which I think is totally reasonable, but then also you have a group of people that you're meeting with every month who are doing it with you, and I think it's great.
Yeah. It's
Um,
going to
are
be
the
fun.
are the squares going to have any kind of theme to them depending on the month, or is it just kind of whatever?
No. There's a deck of cards that's different granny squares. There's like 50 different granny square patterns. So Lauren and I each had a deck of these cards. We haven't decided yet which ones we're going to use. Um, so like in the next couple months, we'll go through and pick our favorites and just go from there.
That's great. That's so exciting. I can't wait till you can give us an update once you started with the class and can kind of show us your progress on the blanket too.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So, as far as anything new with me, there's not really like too much that's going on that's changing. I had like a really big break that was broken up by the market that I said we'll talk about in our next episode. But I have been plugging away at the hive. The last 6 weeks have really been honestly quite incredible for me up there as far as sales go, and I've just been really enjoying watching my growth and like seeing it in real time. The mystery boxes have really like been a driving force of that, but then also I'm trying to find patterns here and there that I can add to kind of change up my booth. I'm still going back and forth on whether or not I'm keeping loveys up there. I'm really leaning towards no. Um, but the one thing that I added were the drift, the octopus, and those are doing pretty well for me so far. I've sold I think 4 or 5 of those since I took them up a few, I guess was that a close to a month ago, and then I just did a mini restock yesterday, and then the mystery boxes are almost sold out. And once I'm out of the aquatic ones, they won't come back until next year. And so they'll be getting replaced. I'm hoping around Labor Day they'll be getting replaced with some fall theme mystery boxes. So I'm excited to see how they do. And then I also, in my restock yesterday, I also added possums. I got to test a new pattern from the same designer of the Drift the Octopus, Aaron the Crochet Carpenter. Um, Part of the Drift the Octopus is he has this line of what he calls stitchkins, and so these patterns are made to be either a finger puppet or a plushie. I haven't messed around with the finger puppet option. I am more interested in the plushie, but I think it's cool that you get both in the one pattern, and I think the finger puppet is quite a newer or novel idea, I guess is the better way to say it. And so, the possum, I knew I wanted to make it for a couple reasons, and I was lucky enough to be chosen to test it. And so they are currently up now. I only made three to take up there just to kind of see how they do. I had made a possum before from a free pattern, but I didn't particularly love the construction of it. And so this pattern, I really like how it's written. I really like how it's designed. And so we'll see how they go. And I'm just still looking for other patterns of things that might be interesting for my customers, but things that I'll also like making. Haven't really decided if I'm gonna add anything else different for like the holiday season. I know I'll try to do some kind of holiday mystery box. I'm going back and forth between a couple different ideas at the moment that I think might do well, but yeah, I am really enjoying it and I hope that it keeps growing for me. Yeah.
Do you plan on staying at the Hive? Like, do you have a contract with them, or is it kind of like pick and choose, or what's the deal with that?
So, it is a contracted space, so I think I'm coming out of the 3 month contract, and so I am going to renew for a 6 month contract, because that'll get me through the holidays and then a little bit past that. I don't see a world in which I don't stay with them unless something would happen sales wise, but like they're in a really, really nice location because it's part of a big shopping complex. And so I think it's a really good position for me. I think if I found something in York that I felt like would get me a similar return and obviously be a lot closer, I might consider it, but I'm not really sure. I haven't decided yet. And to be honest, there really isn't anything too much in York. I have looked around in like Lancaster, but I think the problem is like once people get in these spaces, if they're doing well, for the most part, they tend to stay there. And so I am afraid I would definitely not leave if I didn't have something lined up because I would be afraid I wouldn't be able to get back into another store. And this is honestly changing my business in a big way that I wasn't expecting. Like I'm getting to a point where part of me, and we'll talk more about this in the next episode, but part of me almost wants to focus more on the store and not so much on markets for a couple different reasons. So that's currently something I'm toying with, but nothing I'll make a decision on until at least next year, if not possibly the year after, because, right now I'm in wedding planning season and this is a very expensive time, and I am afraid to put all my eggs in one basket just in case they don't work out or it doesn't work out. So TBD on what I end up actually doing, but yeah. I'm having a good time, so I'll keep keep going with it and see where it takes me.
You're doing great there.
I mean, I think part of it is just I've gotten really creative with like maximizing my space. Like I mean, obviously other vendors, depending on what they have, might have it a little bit easier in a pegboard, but I feel like I've really done a good job of trying to figure out how to maximize it with the hooks and the shelves and yeah. And I'm constantly like every time I go up there, I feel like I'm redoing it a little bit. So it's I to me, it's like staying fresh so that even if you I don't know if there are people that go regularly, but if there are, I would imagine it would be difficult for them to like see my booth and think it's just the same thing every single time because I'm every time I'm up there, I'm rearranging, I'm adding something new. So, yeah. So today before we get into debriefing your market, we're going to get into our question of the day. I came up with a bunch of would you rather questions, and today we're going to have our first would you rather question, as this is only our second question of the day. Um, so I wonder if our answers change when it gets later this year, but who knows? We'll see. So, without further ado, our question of the day is: would you rather have a booth with no shade at a summer market or no heat at a winter market? I'll let you answer first.
So I was gonna say one way, but then I thought of the other, and my winter market doesn't have heat. So I've
Mm-hmm.
been through it and I've survived it
Mm-hmm.
and I can handle it. And I think I'd rather continue to handle it
Mm-hmm.
than to deal with no shade at a summer market.
Yeah, for me,
The
this is
sun is like my enemy. And like I was gonna give the answers like you can wear a hat, you can have fans, you can have like I have those ice rings that you put around your neck. Like there's all these things to combat the heat, but like no, a minute out in the sun and I'm dead.
Yeah, no way. There's nothing I hate more than sweating profusely and like being cold can be painful, yes, but like being cold doesn't like I can to some extent warm myself up. Like if I'm moving around, if a market's busy, like I don't have
Yeah.
time to think about the cold, but if a market is busy in the heat, all I'm thinking about is, oh my God, when can I sit? When can I get a drink? When can I like go try to find like something to cool me down. Like I think it's so much easier to wear layers and that sort of thing in the winter time and yeah, hands down I would much rather have
When you
no
have
heat.
hand warmers, are we like counting those out of the heat thing? Like,
I feel like
can we
they
use hand warmers?
I feel like that should be acceptable. Like
Electric blankets?
but even still like a good hat and like a scarf
Yeah.
goes such a long way that I don't know that anything else is really always necessary. I guess it just depends on how cold we're talking because there's a huge difference between, I don't know, 40 degrees and 15. So, but anyway, so this was not this past weekend, but the weekend before. You had one of your bigger markets for the year that you've done before, and I'm super excited to hear about it. I know a little bit, but not a whole lot. So can you tell us when and where this market was? And yeah,
This was the Lititz Rotary Craft Show on August 9th, and it was all over Lititz. I forget the street names. I think it's like State Street and Main Street, but they're the two main streets in Lititz. Totally closed, covered with vendors.
nice. So what was the duration of the market?
It's what, wow. I think it was 8 to 4. This one is like, I never remember this one because people start showing up at like 7 to shop.
Holy cow.
Yep. So, like, load in is at, well, they say they start closing the streets at 5 a.m. So that's when you can start setting up. Um, which we did. We were there at 5. Um, and luckily we were people were already there and almost all the way set up.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And people were wandering around. Lititz is a very walkable town, so people are out doing their walks. They know this show is in town. So they know people are already there setting up and they come to snoop out.
I think we gave this market a little bit of context in the last episode, but can you remind the people about as far as like who's organizing it and some of the history with it?
It's organized by the Lititz Rotary. Um, I don't know how long it's been around. It's listed on their website, but it's been previously advertised as one of the largest craft shows on the East Coast. Um, they've previously said over 700 vendors and 10,000 plus shoppers, I think, of people that come in specifically for the show. Um, I think they redid their website. It's been the same for several years, but this year I checked it out and it was a little different. Um, they lowered the number of vendors, but this is my assumption. Last year the show was canceled because a hurricane was coming up the East Coast and the weather forecast was horrific all week. It was constantly changing. Honestly, I was kind of hoping it would be canceled because it looked really bad for Saturday. And the previous year was a beautiful day, except the last 20 minutes of the show, a monsoon came out of nowhere and the streets got flooded real fast and there was lots of damage. But so I was hoping that it would be canceled so we wouldn't have to deal with that. Um, but the forecast kept changing. And then the Tuesday of the show week, I got a call from them officially canceling the show. Saturday came and it was a gorgeous day. So and then this year, when they say there's only 500, they also stated it's just on the streets because Lititz has this beautiful park, and that's where a lot of vendors were located. And I heard because of the rain that we got from this hurricane, that park got destroyed. So maybe that was the reason they canceled it. And I think this year, them putting everybody on the streets eliminated that possibility of a cancellation because it's huge. They have to close so many streets. I asked when they canceled it if this was just a postponement, if it was going to still happen, and he said it was something with the state. They had to work out all these logistics to close the streets and it just wasn't feasible in that year. So that's just my assumption of those changes.
Got it. Um, so you're outdoor. What is the size of your booth?
10 by 10. Just tent space.
And we know that you've set up with at this specific show before. How many years have you been doing it?
I think the first one I got accepted to was for 2020, and that was COVID. So obviously that one didn't happen. But my acceptance carried over into 21. So I think 21, 22, 23, 24. Nope. So this would have been my fourth show.
Got it.
Yep.
So you know the event well, when you were prepping for it, did you prep any special items given like the season's getting ready to change, or did you prep anything special because you know based on prior performance this is going to do really well for me?
Not really. I knew that this show was one that I could safely start bringing some winter stuff. So I had my hats and gloves and pocket shawls. And yes, I sold all of those things. I didn't sell out of all of those things, but those items were all purchased.
Nice.
But I did, okay. So those drifts you were talking about at the beginning of this show, I had never made one. Didn't even have the pattern. I felt super prepared for Lititz. Friday night, my sister came and we loaded her car and I had like the whole night and there was nothing I felt panicked that I needed to build inventory on. Like I felt good about what we had. So I was like, what can I work on? And then I said, oh, I know. I'll buy the drift pattern, make as many as I can, and then sell it at the show. So I created a whole new panic for myself. Try to get as many drifts as possible. I only got three. I was tired. My hands were hurting, so I only got three, but all three did sell at the show.
Heck yeah. So, what other new patterns or items did you bring other than the drift?
Two Lititz or just since the last show.
Yeah, two Lititz specifically.
Everything was new, basically. All of it. The Lufufus I had more of. I saw out of Lufufus too.
Okay, go off.
Yeah, everything was new to Lititz. I like over the years, I kind of started Lititz 5 years ago now with only wearables, like wearables and coasters and like coffee cozies and those things. Um, and then slowly introduced plushies. This year was my first like almost full-on plushie.
And what was your getting into your booth? What was your layout?
The same as it was for the criterium. We liked how we set it up with the anchors on the grid wall with those hat racks. So we were like, we're good with this. Let's just set up the same.
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
As far as what was the weather like that day?
It was so nice.
Oh, good.
We've been in the exact same location all 4 years that we've done it. And we're kind of in like the more shaded, like the way the sun comes and the store fronts, like we get a good amount of shade where we are. So for like the first half of the day, we had a nice breeze coming through, a nice shade. The afternoon got a little toasty from like 12 to 1, and then it was kind of mediocre the rest of the day.
Gotcha. But no monsoon the last however many minutes this year. That's good.
Yeah.
What was the type of crowd like?
It was busy. Again, I didn't make it further than 2 tents over if I left. And basically it was just to go to the bathroom because the bathrooms were like 2, 3 tents down. A lot of people. And a couple of friends came out. It was nice.
That's wonderful.
It was always really busy in the tent, which is one of the many reasons I'm grateful to have my sister. Because if you remember how I had that grid wall in the front with the octos, when it got crowded in the tent, it was very easy to like lose track of what's happening up there.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a couple times I saw some anchors like disappear, like people are just picking them up to look at them. So it
Mm-hmm.
was nice to have one of us like focusing on the inside of the tent and the other just watching what's happening out there so no one runs away.
Yeah, that's fair because if someone ran away with an anchor, I might have an actual heart attack.
Oh yeah.
So, getting into numbers, what was your inventory goal for the market, and then how did that compare to what you brought?
Um, I think I can say now I don't have any goals when I make inventory. Always more than what I had last time. And I hit that. I brought 6,115. Yeah.
Go off.
Yeah. I don't remember. Like, I look at past year's inventory numbers and I'm like, I have more. However, I have a lot more also bigger items. So it's kind of hard to compare that. Because, like, to reach those numbers, I'm gonna have to sell the bigger things.
That's fair.
Yeah.
As far as your booth fee, how much did you pay for your space?
Now, I don't remember because of it being canceled last year, we were given the option to either get our money back or say, I'm coming back next year, just keep it like keep my registration for 2025. So obviously that was the option I picked. Um, I feel like I tried going into my bank accounts to find the checks and see if I could backtrack, but they wouldn't go back that far.
Got it.
Um, I feel like it was somewhere between 145 to 165. I feel like I've paid both of those prices for my space. Um, Obviously it goes up every year, but I do know that to for next year it's 180. So it did go up significantly again. I don't know if that's to make up for the fact it got canceled last year or just the gradual increase that was going to happen anyway.
Sure. That's fair. As far as how much did you sell? What did you end up with?
1,550, which was only $4 shy of the last time.
Which honestly, I do not think, in the grand scheme of how markets are going for people this year, I don't think that's bad at all.
I'm not complaining. I'm very grateful for that. However, I do know that there was one year we hit 2,000.
Ooh,
Yeah. So, like, that was what I was hoping for, but looking back and knowing that I only made 15.54 last year, so I was only $4 off. I was like, all right, I can accept that.
yeah. That's, yeah. So, so hard and annoying right now with markets. Like, if this trend keeps continuing, like, I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Um, so what were your best sellers?
Like I said, I mean, I only had three, but I sold out of those drifts. Um, and I had eight LaFuFus. I sold all of them. So if I were to put anything in the best seller category, that would be it, is the LaFuFus and the drifts, because I sold out. Everything else was kind of evenly spread.
Did you have any unexpected performances, like items that sold less than you thought they would or more than you thought they would?
No, I don't think I mean, I was manifesting selling my first ever large anchor, the octopus. It did not happen, but it almost did. I think I told you the story. I about started crying right in the middle of the show. It was towards the end of the show, and a dad and his daughter were approaching my booth, and he said, "Go ahead, grab it, take it to the counter to ring it up." And it was a large anchor. It was the very first one I ever made, and it was the interstellar color that I love. And I audibly gasped, and I rang it up, and I said it was $130. And the dad was like, "Excuse me?" And I said, $130. And he said, "Well, what about the little one?" And I said, "He's 80." And then he goes back, he's like, "Oh, I guess I should have read these price signs." They ended up buying a pickle in the end, but like when I was holding on to that anchor, I almost started crying when they walked away. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this was the chance."
I probably would have felt the same way. That's awful. I wish there was some way that people could be educated enough to understand why that thing costs what it does. Some people do and they get it, but not everybody.
There was a lady who, this was before this happened. There were several instances where people were like, "What? Why is this much?" I didn't hear any of it. Michelle like relayed information to me. But like I heard a couple of the, "Why is this $80?" And this one lady came up to me and she's like, the way she said this, I thought it was going another way. She's like, "Now I understand why you priced it like this." And like the inflection in her voice, I was like, "Oh God, but what?" Like,
Right.
what are you gonna say negative? But she was so nice. She's like, "I bought this pattern and I printed it out and it's like 35 pages. So I understand why you would price this much. So keep going." I was like, "Thank God." Like, I love you.
It really is a beast. Like, there's no way I could ever justify selling it for any less than that. But I mean, I'm in the same boat. I still haven't sold him yet. He gets the attention, like, definitely an eye grabber, but like, man,
Some people confuse me too, though. Like this one gentleman approached me and he's like, "So," he's talking about the anchors. He's like, "So what is this?" And I was like, it's an octopus." He's like, "Yeah, but what is it?" It's like, what are you asking?" He's like, "Is it a hat or what?" Is it, "It's just a plushie."
I don't, I don't, I don't know sometimes what goes through people's heads when like they look at these plushies because like I've gotten people say the craziest things over my fried eggs and I feel like it's pretty obvious what they are, but I've heard crazy stuff. I've heard people call them a chick. I'm like that's not what that is. People just aren't, I don't know. I think sometimes when they go into stores like the IQ level just drops instantly and I don't know what it is that makes people do that. Like I don't understand it.
No, and like I finished him. This is the first show I've ever finished a project.
Yeah.
But speaking of him, there were a bunch of little girls with an adult in the tent, and at least one of them was learning how to crochet. And she picked him up and was trying to like explain to her friends how it's made and how you sew the ears on, like you sew the tail on and then you do something weird and tie the feet on. And I was like, actually, you don't do any of that. It's all one piece." So I kept my mouth shut because
You
I'm like, "You're
can't
stupid,
tell,
kid."
yeah, you can't tell tweens or teenagers anything.
Nope.
They know it all.
Hmm.
Um, Overall, what do you think went well? What do you think could have gone better for next time?
I think it's been pretty just consistent with every other time I've done this show. I don't know if it's because we're doing this podcast and I'm paying attention more to things, but as we were pulling in, Michelle and I noticed that while it's organized, it's not really organized. Basically, like when you come in, there's no one there to check you in or tell you where you need to go. The week, like a couple weeks leading up to the event, we're mailed a piece of paper with our space and the renewal form for next year.
Okay,
And our space isn't really like, it gives us a space number, which you need because they have it on like tape on the sidewalk.
sure.
And then they give you kind of directions to where your space is, but they just say enter on this road and go north, south, east, west. And I'm geographically challenged. So the very first time I ever did this show, my old hairdresser is in Lititz. So I had to ask her, I was like, "Can you please tell me where this is?" And she gave me the general idea. And fortunately, we've been in the same spot every year, so we know where to go. So we notice, like, if you've never done this show before, you don't know where to go because there's no one directing you. While we were setting up, so many cars came past, rolling their window down and asking us what our space number was, where they can find their space number. I was like, all I can tell you is I'm B22. Like, if you're N, you're probably way down there or you're on the other street. Like, I don't
Right.
know. There's no map. There's no, like, they don't have any kind of social media presence. Because I was trying, like, I'm trying to be more active with my social posts. And I'd like to post, like, oh, I have this show this weekend, but like, there was nothing for me to share about it because I like to share like the organizers' posts about it.
Sure.
I mean, finally, the town of Lititz, their Instagram said, the show is this weekend, so I shared that. But like, they have no social presence. If I'm wrong in assuming that rotaries are basically just old men, please correct me, but
I think
that's
they
the
do.
assumption I have.
Yeah, they do tend to have a lot of older people involved.
Yeah, so like there's nothing. And where we normally park, they had barricaded off. They barricaded off. So Michelle had to like go around the block. Like fortunately, we know this town very well because we grew up in a town, the next town over. And we go to this town for like our hairdresser and all other sorts of things. So we knew like how to get into that parking lot still. Um, and then in the parking lot, there were all these signs about like merchant parking only and like customers only. But we're like, the entire town is shut down today. They're not gonna, you're not gonna be able to get a tow truck back there to tow anybody. So
Right.
yeah, so I don't know what they could do. It's confusing because it's still a very successful show and people keep coming back. But like, unless you've been there before, I don't know what to tell you.
Um, how do they even get new vendors then if everything's so like caca?
I don't know. Like, because it's so well known. Like, it's been advertised as the biggest show on the East Coast. Um, so they just go to the website and they have a waiting list. So if you're interested, submit an application.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, do you feel like this show has a good spread of vendors, or is it hard for you to know if there even are tons of other crocheters because of the fact that you just can't ever leave your booth?
I don't even know because I wouldn't leave my booth. Michelle did a walkabout before like it really started getting busy, and she found at least four other crocheters, and two of them were not like pure crocheters. They had a mix of other things in their space.
Sure. Got it. So I probably know the answer to this already, but what is your likelihood to participate in this show again?
Oh, it's happening. It's like, I don't know, it's a very comforting kind of show because I just feel very comfortable there. Like, we have different neighbors all the time, but everyone's always friendly. Um, like my friend lives downtown Lidditz, so her and her mom came. My mom came, some girls from Sip and Stitch came.
Oh,
Um, it's I guess I don't know, it's just very like a homey and we're comfortable and I really don't have anything bad to say about it.
sure. Anything else from the day that you would like to share with the people?
We took 2 pages of notes and I didn't even look at them. We did hit the comma by lunchtime, which we were very excited about. Um, there were like some people came with lists of things they were looking for, and I don't know if it would be helpful information or not, but this is what they were asking for. Fish, minions, like from Despicable Me, and penguins. I don't want to make any of those things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I do either. Penguin, yes, maybe, but only as like a lovey. I don't know that I'd be interested in any other penguin pattern.
Yeah. There's something about the face color changing, like
Mm-hmm.
that I just don't want to deal with.
Exactly.
Um, I did, so you know those silly hands that I have?
Mm-hmm.
They were a huge attraction, but this was the first time. I am a firm stuffer. I stuff the crap out of my plushies, but they're still like soft and cuddly. Those silly hands, my being a firm stuffer has been my downfall with those because the first thing people say are, so and so is just going to want to whack so and so with it. I'm like, yeah, that's the point. And then they feel how firm it is and they're like, oh no, that could actually really do some damage. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, that's the point. But like it's prevented sales. So if I make any more at this point, like I guess I'll try to stuff less firmly.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt that's going to happen, but
But it's also kind of like, I don't know, I have mixed feelings about that comment because part of me is also like, I don't really know if we should be hitting people with plushies anyway, but I guess like that's sort of ish what that's made for. I don't know. It
you've
just,
clearly never been to one of my shows where it's me and my sister, and all we do is promote violence by throwing plushies because my sister's favorite is, I'm assuming it's her favorite because she says it all the time, but my pickles, she likes to tell people they're perfectly torpedo shaped.
oh
So
my
you can
God.
just like throw it across the room. And like anything like this, like a little ball, she's like, yeah, at work, we just chuck them over the cubicles to get people's attention.
Oh my God.
That's our brand
Well,
and our tent. We like to promote the violence with the plushies.
hey, you gotta get them somehow if it works.
Yeah, that was pretty much it, I think. I covered it.
So what's coming up next in the pipeline for you?
At the time of this recording, I do have a show this weekend. I have Forced Date again, which was, if you remember, the very first market I had this year that was in Hagerstown. It's going to be in Harrisburg this weekend. So it's a much easier commute for me.
That's great.
Yep.
Awesome. Looking forward to hearing about that. I just finished this drift. Yay!
Yay.
This makes me feel so much better having something done tonight because right after this, it is time for this teacher to go to bed and tomorrow teach the youth of America. Yay!
Lucky
I'm
you.
so excited. So anyway, in the next episode, you'll hear about the market that I had this past weekend and anything else that happens between now and when we record that episode. So thank you guys so much for joining us and for listening. Please be sure to rate and follow our podcast wherever you're listening to us from. Be sure to also follow our business accounts on Instagram and Facebook. Jess is at Craic Creations, Craic spelled like the podcast, Craic, and I am at Yellow of the Egg Designs. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.